by pointing out some issues. I haven't even opened that stuff yet, and I won't open it because we have a tendency to denigrate our own materials. So we want to make sure that if we're going to use brochures or leave behinds, that it's pinpointed directly at what that person might need or be interested in or might be helpful, and then we walk them through it and show them, and we value it. So let's talk about what are some of the most successful things. Word of mouth referrals. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to challenge you in a few moments. We're going to ask you to fill out your revenue action plan and get some referral sources on the revenue action plan. So we're going to challenge you to go ask some people. If you have a little bit larger firm, you might even consider having a reception at your office. We found that having a private business reception at your office is a great tool to be able to build your referral business. Some people say, well, how does that work? We've done business mixers, we've done get-togethers, we've done those kinds of things, but we've never really panned out for us. Well, a private business reception works something like this. You set it up for one business. It could be an insurance agency that's a surety firm that you want to get to know. It could be for an industry association. It could be for a law firm. It could be for a bank. Invite them to come to your office at 4:30. Offer them a drink when they come in the door. Give them a cocktail, and then take them on what we call the nickel tour of your office. But don't just say, there are some computers there are some chairs and desks over there, and that's where old Joe sits. No. What you want to do is have at least 3 stops along the way. And in these 3 stops, you want to talk about some of the different and unusual things that perhaps you do for clients. So you might have a stop and says, in the last few years, we've been getting very active in international tax issues for some of our clients who've developed some international business. And so over here, you'll have a stop, and you'll take 3 people and tell them about that. Maybe you'll have one of your young managers do it, one of your other partners do it. And then you go to the next stop, and you say, here we've been providing litigation support for attorneys. And here are some of the things that we do in terms of forensics and testimony and business valuations. And this is the kind of thing that we do to support law firms. And then you might go over here and you might say, here are some things that we do to support banks, if that's your market. You know, we can do agreed upon procedures. We can do any kinds of things in terms of reviews or audits or compilations that you want if you're looking just for, let's say, inventory valuations. So if that's what you're holding, we can help you with that. We can evaluate the receivables. So the private business reception will then help you stimulate referrals if you do it well. Because as you're taking people around your office for 15 minutes, every time you stop, they're thinking, well, what could be a use of that? What could be a use of that? What could be a use of that? So you're 5 minutes at each stop, you're back in the conference room, and have a little cocktail reception at the end of it. It's a great tool to use to stimulate word-of-mouth referrals. Think about it this way. What if you needed an attorney? Jim, you don't get to answer this question. What if you needed an attorney for a private business matter for your family? How would you go about finding a lawyer?
He would ask people that you know that have dealt with lawyers before.
Okay.
Okay.
Might refer to one, might go to one that you've worked with.
Might go where?
You might seek out an attorney that you've worked with personally with another client.
Right, and to find out that, you know, that person, or if that person's specialty is not what you're looking for, might refer you.
I know so many attorneys, so I kind of know where I would go with it, but there was an incident where I needed needed a junkyard dog, and my junkyard dog had retired. And so I got a hold of several attorneys, and I said, who's the local junkyard dog? I need somebody who's just not very nice. I was gonna describe it with one word, but kind of know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Yeah, somebody who's not very nice and just, you hate being around them. They give me the name, and sure enough, I hated being around him, but he did the job.
You see, what we all do whenever we need a professional.
Yes.
If you needed a doctor, if you needed an architect, you're going to ask someone. I would submit to you that if clients of CPA firms are unhappy with whoever they're using, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to ask someone they know. That's why it's one of the most effective business development tools we can use, is stimulate those referrals. Then, of course, we have to have a targeting strategy. How do we get to those that we cannot get to through a referral? One of the things we'll talk about toward the end of the day today is using a targeting strategy. It's much different than a referral. And we've got to understand that referrals and targeting are not the same thing. Because what will happen the first time you meet a target prospect, and they don't know who you are, they're not aware of you, they're not familiar with you, they don't know how you could be any different, they're going to tell you this: I'm happy with who I'm using. And when you hear that, you're going to quit. But what we found is those people who are willing to make 9 positive business development interactions, those are the ones that really get some business. But the problem is there's so much noise in the marketplace. There's so many other people out there doing things that in order to create 9 positive marketing interactions, you've got to do 27, because they miss 2 out of every 3. That could take you 3 years. It could take you 5 years, because you can't make all 27 at one time. So having a targeting strategy is going to be different, drastically different, than if you've got a referral system. And we've got to understand it that way. Then, of course, industry networking. Those of you who focus in certain industries know that there are industry associations. There are networking opportunities in these industry associations for you to get much, much better. Kelly's going to talk about some networking tips, some things that you can do in an industry meeting. I found that for many of you who focus on healthcare, the Medical Group Managers Association is a good place to go. For those of you that are focused on construction, the Associated Builders and Contractors is a good place to go. Sometimes there is a road builders group or an electrical contractors group. To the extent that you have those kinds of clients, those are great places to network. Industry-specific speaking. We found that if you write articles, it's good, but if you can speak in front of an organization, they actually perceive that you have 10 words of knowledge for every word you speak. So it's a great way to set yourself up as an industry expert and have people come talk to you. Small group receptions in your office are very powerful. Some of our best clients use the small group reception. So if you have a conference room this size or half this size, every week have something, have a breakfast, have a lunch, and just have 3 clients, 2 referral sources, 1 prospect. So a prospect that might be a good fit for your firm, and just invite them in and say, we're going to talk about the impact of the new healthcare law on small businesses. And we want you all to get the benefit of our briefing on that. Or we're going to talk about, ways you can reduce your taxes this year. Or we're going to give you a briefing on that. Or if you need a small business loan, places to go besides your bank. You can come up with a variety of things. Have the same one every week. for 6 or 8 weeks, but do it in a small group environment. Bring them in and have box lunches and have an intimate setting. And what you're going to get when you do it that way, you're going to have a regular, steady communication device that will attract new business to you. So, when you get in one of these networking events, you're going to just ask that question. We're going to go back to that introduction we did early this morning. You know, when someone said, "What do you do?" And we're going to give you a new way now. We're going to do consistently, but this is going to be the first progression to a more difficult methodology. So, here's what we want to do. We want to teach you how to introduce yourself and answer that question using this phrase. Someone says to you, "Jim, what do you do?" Here's the way I want you to answer it back. "You know how? ... Well, ... The result is." So I don't want you to say, "I'm a CPA," or "I'm an auditor," or "I'm a tax professional." What I want you to say is, "You know how people are having problems with this? Well, we help with that, and the result is this." Kelly and I are going to give you a couple of examples, and then we're going to get you to draft your own example. So, hi Kelly.
Hey Troy, good to meet you.
Yeah, I've heard about you. What is it you do?
Well Troy, you know how most CPAs just aren't really comfortable with, necessarily sales? That's kind of like a four-letter word for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well with the Rainmaker Academy, I really like to help them reframe selling into helping. And the result is that it makes it a lot more easier for them to go out and generate new business opportunities for their firm and realize exponential growth.
So you see how she did that? It was she told me a little story about a problem she saw. So now let's try it opposite. You try it with me.
So Troy, tell me about what you do.
Well, Kelly, you know how every time Congress simplifies the tax code, they make it more complex? Well, we help our clients weed through all those pages and pages of regulation, sort through the ones that really can help you with maximizing your deductions and minimizing your income reporting. And so we try to help our clients reorient the dollars they save in taxes back into the business and help them do things they want to do with that money rather than just paying it all down the same. So you see how we made that more conversational. So what we're going to ask you to do is now take your own circumstance, whatever your circumstance is, and put it into this framework. Now, let me give you an example. Hi, Debbie. Everybody, hold your arms. Fold your arms like this. Now notice which hand is on top. Now switch and go the other way. Is that uncomfortable? Yeah, that's pretty uncomfortable, isn't it? This is how this is going to feel for you. When you try this out, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. But try it out, and then we'll debrief you. So I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes just to frame it up, just to jot yourself some notes down and try to use it.
You guys have a copy of this in your handout to help you walk through the structure of it.
One of our clients from Raleigh, North Carolina is here today.